When people ask me why I joined the society, I always give them the same answers. To get my hands on sick weapons, because the work was fun, and because I liked busting my butt and actually getting rewarded for it. Sure, the society talked a good game about spreading freedom and protecting the Sky Realm's peace, but it wasn't like I ever set out to be a hero. But hunting primal beasts with badass seal weapons? Sign me the hell up. Too bad there weren't enough weapons to go around. Only the best of the best become weapon contractors. Of course, I knew from the start I was contractor material. Wasn't long before I was making a pact with the Sphere of Arves. What a hot little number. Now, did I feel bad for those who didn't make the cut? Yeah, a little. But I earned my position, and no one was gonna take that away from me. It wasn't about becoming rich or famous. It was about proving my worth. I don't like being undersold or underrated, you know? Best part was, as a weapon contractor, I had dibs on the deadliest missions. And those were perfect for showing everyone what I was made of. And damn, did the society have its fair share of enemies. The worst of which was an evil coalition we simply called the Foe, who only seemed to care about sowing chaos. As soon as I became a contractor, I was thrown into battle with the Foe. Talk about out of the frying pan and into the fire. My orders were explicit. Eliminate on sight. There were some days when the bloodshed took its toll on me. But then I'd remind myself that these villains were out to wreck the skies. When I wasn't putting bad guys into the ground, I hunted primal beasts to gather their battle data. See, seal weapons aren't just good at taking down primals. They absorb their powers, too. That's what makes our vest so special. The more primals it crushes, the stronger it gets. Imagine how unstoppable I'll be once I supercharge this bad boy. So, to recap, my average work week looks like this. Slay foes and primals, get paid, then splurge all that cash on my days off. Look, if you're gonna work hard, you might as well play hard, right? Before I joined the society, I used to lead a group of knights. It was all fun and games, until the local lord tried to adopt me as his daughter. I never cared for social status, and I sure as hell didn't want to be tied down by expectations. My life, my reins. So I said so long to my compatriots. It was nice knowing ya. But if playing by my own rules was so important to me, then why'd I throw in with the captain's crew? Well, I didn't do it just for funsies. My master plan was to have the crew members join the society too, which would have bought me a ton of brownie points with the higher-ups. But journeying with the crew changed me. I met people from all walks of life, and I grew as a person. I started thinking I'd be better off following the crew instead of the society. I'm a natural-born fighter. Maybe I could put myself to better use elsewhere. Because honestly, becoming a contractor wasn't my main reason for seeking out the society. In the end, I just figured they were the organization that offered me the most freedom. So if it wasn't clear by now, I like doing things my way. Which brings me to a constant thorn in my side. Vaseraga, the annoying half of my two-man cell. Considering it was Drill Sergeant Ilsa who assigned us together, I figured she knew what she was doing. Yeah, no. Vaseraga and I gelled like oil and water. Did Ilsa really expect us to have good team chemistry? I think sticking him with me was an attempt to keep him from going off the deep end. Only later did I find out he'd been through some pretty traumatic events in his life. It scarred him, both physically and emotionally. Maybe that's why he can be borderline suicidal whenever someone else's life is at stake. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for helping people. I'm just saying it's 100% possible to play hero without throwing your life away. I remember this one time when we got trapped in a life-or-death situation because of his screw-up. You should have heard the rage I was spewing. Know what he did next? He apologized, which just felt out of character coming from him. Like, even though it was your fault we're in this mess, don't just throw in the towel, man. Ugh, it was so frustrating. Who knew that big lug could be so sensitive? On the flip side, I can't help but be honest. I like what I like, and I hate what I hate. I don't want anyone getting the wrong impressions about me. I might say things that ruffle a few feathers, but I stand by my words. I can't take back what I've already said. Anyway, I'd rather be true to myself than be something I'm not. That's just the kind of gal I am. It was good to be back in Seed Hollow after wrapping up another easy-peasy mission. Since my schedule was empty, I decided to hit up a cute little cafe for some much-deserved cake.
Hello there!
Some little kid I've never seen before walked right up to me, his eyes twinkling with starstruck awe. He got down on one knee and said,
Will you marry me?
Was this kid for real? Did he even know what he was asking? You've got guts, little man. Tell you what, come find me in a decade or so, and then maybe we'll talk. I thought a gentle rejection would get him off my back, but I was wrong.
If you walk away now, you'll be making the biggest mistake of your life.
I knew better than to take the bait, but I had to admit, I was sort of curious. Okay, hotshot, I'll bite. Why are you asking a total stranger like me to marry you? At least he had a good eye. Credit where credit's due.
Because I know you're strong. You make stomping monsters look so easy. Oh, and you're really pretty too.
Wow, what do you know? A sweet talker.
And your spear is wicked cool. How many monsters can you shish kebab with that thing?
I should have known. Boys love the heroic stuff. 10, 20? It doesn't matter. The real prize is in hunting primal beasts. Oh, wait, you guys don't call them that. I meant primeval gods. I've got a soft spot for children, especially the ones who hang on my every word. You try ignoring the adorable little scamps. In any case, it seemed clear that this boy was genuinely head over heels for me.
So, how about it? Will you marry me?
Nope.
Aw, come on.
Word of advice, don't spring a marriage proposal on an unsuspecting woman. Catch you later, little man. Maybe we'll chat some other time. I ruffled his hair and started walking off.
I'm not giving up.
The tyke knew how to dream big. If only a certain grumpy lug I knew had the same level of optimism.
Oh, hi, Zeta. Fancy running into you here. You're just as pretty as the first time we met.
I had started to wonder if I'd ever see the little heartbreaker again. Guess I got my answer. We talked for a bit, and I learned his name was Vaughn. I knew which question he wanted to pop, but I didn't have time to humor him today. A hospital in Seed Hollow was in dire need of medicinal ingredients, so it was off to Fondom for me and the crew.
Okay, gotcha. I understand.
Well, that was easy, considering how he kept pestering me. I didn't expect him to be so reasonable.
I know better than to get in the way of your job. I am a little worried, but I'm sure the monsters won't give you any trouble.
You got that right. I eat monsters for breakfast. Aw, how sweet. The little doodlebug had total faith in me.
Stay safe out there. Come back in one piece.
I will. As I left to meet up with the crew, I made a mental note to pick up a souvenir for my biggest little fan. Vaughn was the first person to greet me when I returned to Seed Hollow. He ran over to me like an overexcited puppy. Here, I got you a little something for being good.
Whoa, this rock is crazy! It's all shiny and stuff!
I'm a pro at picking out gifts, if I do say so myself. After all, what kid isn't mesmerized by shiny objects? Vaughn wouldn't stop thanking me. I honestly didn't think he'd like it that much. But in this case, I was happy to be wrong.
It's amazing how you made it out of Fondom without a scratch. You're a one-woman wrecking crew.
Can't argue with the truth.
Anyway, it's cool that you're being nice to me, but I don't mind when you play hard to get either.
Huh? The nerve of this kid.
Are you blushing?
What? His confidence was respectable. Admirable, even. But seriously, get real, little man. Talking to you makes my head spin.
Does that mean you're falling for me?
No, it means I'm worried about your future. Years from now, Vaughn's gonna be breaking hearts left and right. Mark my words.
Hey there, Zeta! So glad I caught you again.
How did he always know when I was in Seed Hollow? He was clueless to his clinginess, and it was testing my patience.
Are you free today? I was thinking we could go on a picnic.
I mulled it over for a bit. A picnic didn't sound half bad. It was a nice day, after all.
Oh no. Is this a bad time?
His puppy dog eyes bore into my soul. How could I say no to that? Kids just have this way of triggering your protective instincts. Not to mention they can be terrifyingly perceptive. You know what? The weather's great today. So, count me in. His face lit up with joy, and I turned to my next important decision. What to have for lunch. I didn't have to think too hard about that. When it came to picnics, sandwiches were the only way to go.
This must be the lad I've heard so much about.
A few days earlier, I was in the ship's lounge telling the captain about Vaughn when Vaseraga happened to walk in. So he ended up learning about the kid, too. He listened without saying much. Never was the talkative type, anyway.
Hi, mister. I'm Vaughn.
I half expected Vaughn to cower from Vaseraga, but instead the boy dropped a friendly hello. Maybe he had a strict upbringing.
Call me Vaseraga.
Vaseraga looked at me, then at Vaughn, then back at me again. What did he want?
So that's how it is. Here, Zeta. Take these.
I peeked into the bag he gave me and did a double take. It was stuffed with fruit sandwiches.
These come highly recommended by Vern, Lyria, and the captain. You should split them with Vaughn.
For the both of us. Huh. Call me crazy, but it almost sounded like he went out of his way to buy these for us. I rummaged through the goods and caught sight of one sandwich stuffed with melon slices and another with peaches. Nice. Those are my favorites. Hey, great pickups, Vaseraga. Can't wait to scarf these down.
Go for it.
Cha-ching! Jackpot! Vaughn and I said our goodbyes to Vaseraga, and we found an open bench in a park just outside the city.
You look really happy. Are you a big fruit fan?
I was jamming an ungodly amalgamation of fruit, bread, and whipped cream into my face. I think that counts as a yes. Yeah, more or less. I like anything as long as it's tasty.
Ah, that's good to know.
There was no chance in hell Vaseraga picked out these cute sandwiches all by himself. Absolutely none. Someone in the crew must have tagged along. The thought of him stomping through the aisles of a shop filled with cupcakes and cookies drew a chuckle out of me.
So, are you and Vaseraga an item?
Are we an item? Gross! Is that what it looks like to you? Look, he's just my coworker. I'm kind of stuck with him.
Uh-huh.
He opened his mouth as if he had more to say, but I guess he changed his mind. We ended up having a fascinating chat about bugs instead.
Good afternoon, Zeta! It's always nice to see you.
It was another gorgeous day. Vaughn came bounding over to see me for like, what, the 100th time? Or maybe even millionth?
I wanted to give you something to say thanks for the souvenir you got me. I hope you like it.
He held out a beautifully wrapped box, its sides emblazoned with the logo of a world-class bakery. I didn't know what to say. Kids ought to be spending their lunch money on cheap snacks, not fancy-pants pastries. Are you sure you want me to have this? How could you even afford this with pocket change?
Don't you know it's discourteous to appraise the worth of one's gift?
How do you know big words like that?
Papa told me.
Oh, great. Don't tell me he got his family involved.
I wanted to show you how much I care, so I saved up my allowance. Zero Carte helped me pick a shop that's popular with girls.
Vaughn stared at the ground as he spoke, stealing an occasional glance at me to gauge my reaction. He had put his feelings out there in the only way he knew how, and it was all coming to a head. In a situation like this, I had to be firm yet considerate. I could never live with myself if I trampled over his heart, even if I didn't mean to.
I thought for sure you'd like it. I guess I was wrong.
He kicked at the dirt, still unwilling to meet my gaze. Wow, as if I didn't feel guilty enough already. What are you talking about? This is an awesome gift. Thank you. As soon as I said that, his toothy smile came roaring back with a vengeance. But from now on, you can't give me any more presents.
Why not?
In one fell swoop, he turned my words against me. Poor boy was on the verge of tears. His voice quivered as he explained his intent. He had seen how delighted I was with Vaseraga's gift of sandwiches, and all he wanted was to deliver that same joy. Oh, you sweet darling boy. You've got a lot to learn, but your heart's in the right place. I'd hate to leave you jaded. I decided that honesty was the best course of action. No more tiptoeing around the issue. It's a lovely gift, but I'm worried you're not eating enough to grow big and strong. That's why I want you to spend your money on snacks for yourself, okay?
Okay, got it.
Way to go, Zeta. So much for being upfront with him. I'm glad you understand. Now why don't we dig into this yummy treat together?
Sure, I'd be happy to feed you.
Gah, why, you conniving little... My hands work just fine, thank you very much.
Phooey. From now on, I'm gonna prove that we're meant for each other.
The talk I had with Vaughn yesterday only intensified his resolve. I asked him what he had in mind.
First, I'll get to know you better, Zeta.
A little late for that, but at least he was thinking in the right direction.
Let me see. Okay, first question. What's your type of guy?
Subtlety wasn't Vaughn's strongest point. How to be compatible with your partner is something you should figure out for yourself.
Huh? But I don't know how to do that. It's faster just to ask.
This kid.
Do you like strong guys?
You could say that. I prefer someone who knows how to fend for themselves. Means I don't have to worry about them as much.
Well, that's perfect then.
Vaughn stood up straight and tall and proudly puffed out his chest.
I'm still in the middle of sword training, but I'm the best out of all the kids in the class, even the bigger ones.
Already outclassing the older kids, huh? Not bad, not bad. I wonder how I stacked up when I was his age.
Now do you love me?
Not even close.
Phooey.
His reactions cracked me up. There was never a dull moment with this kid.
There has to be a way for me to win your heart.
I'm sorry, but that was just too precious. I didn't mean to laugh, but his frustration caught me off guard. He was trying so hard against the odds to win me over. If we were around the same age, things might have been different.
I don't care about being precious. I care about you.
The more he sulked, the harder it became to hold in my giggles. Sorry. I patted his head in an attempt to lighten the mood, but he wasn't having it. Bahamut saved me. His kid was so sweet he was gonna give me cavities. The air in Seed Hollow that morning was electric. I hadn't felt that amped up in a good while. Time to get this show on the road.
Roger that.
Vaseraga had met up with me right on schedule. I sucked in a lungful of the morning chill to calm my nerves.
Good morning, Zeta. Good morning, Vaseraga.
Morning. You're up awfully early today.
Where are you guys going?
He must have sensed something big was in the works. The concern in his voice was clear as day. A couple of rough customers challenged us to a serious fight.
I want to come too. Can I, please?
It wasn't like him to try to tag along. He knew better than that. No can do, little man. This isn't a game.
But I've been practicing my sword swings every day. I can help you beat them.
Of all the days he could have picked to be fussy, why did it have to be today?
Sparring and actual combat are worlds apart. Pride goeth before destruction.
It was obvious from the frown on Vaughn's face that he wasn't going to take no for an answer. I need you to be good and listen to us, all right? We left Vaughn behind and made a beeline for Seed Hollow Castle. We stepped into its great hall, where Magliel and her sword veil were already waiting.
Allow me to extend my utmost gratitude for taking the time to indulge my invitation.
Can the formalities. I came here to throw down, not listen to boring speeches.
I didn't think the castle would be okay with us doing battle within its walls.
Well, no one else was using the hall. Let's just say those who helped with the castle's restoration are afforded special privileges.
This woman, for all her pomp and circumstance, was no joke of a warrior.
I was curious as to whether your weapons are deserving of their legend. My fellowship prides itself with collecting only the most prized armaments.
I knew there had to be more to this call-out.
I'll get straight to the point. We are interested in purchasing your seal weapons. Allow me to appraise their performance during our little skirmish.
In other words, she was making us an offer we couldn't refuse. Even though this isn't a fight to the death, don't come crying to me when you get your asses handed to you. Magliel didn't respond. She simply smirked and an arsenal of magic swords materialized around her. I tightened my grip on our vest and took a deep breath. I thought back to all the times Vaseraga and I had cheated death. It made me feel invincible. This victory belonged to us.
Let's do this, Zeta.
Hell yeah! The words were barely out of my mouth before I was leaping into the fray. a day's work. You better have a good reason for sneaking in here, little man.
I didn't want you getting hurt. That's all.
Oh, why didn't you stay put like I told you to? I said this wasn't a game. There's no excuse for being a distraction on the battlefield. Every swordsman knows that, even rookies. Vaughn fell silent, realizing he couldn't argue back. He just stood there with his head hanging down. Crap. Was I too hard on him? But here's the thing about warfare. If you're all valor and no discretion, you're gonna end up in a coffin real fast.
I messed up. I'm sorry.
Vaughn looked so miserable. It was like watching a kid choke down bitter medicine. What could I say to soften the blow?
You made a mistake, but your intentions were true. It takes courage to own up to one's error and apologize.
Vaseraga gently clapped the boy on the shoulder with his rugged mitt. Vaughn quickly perked up after that. Vaseraga's like a giant teddy bear when it comes to kids. I can count on him to smooth things over when I get too preachy. No arguments there. Oh well, what's done is done. Me chewing you out isn't gonna change the past. Thanks, Vaseraga. I needed that save.
Hold on, Zeta. Don't move.
He reached up and applied a cool, damp salve onto my right cheek.
I wasn't lying when I said I was worried about you. See? You did get injured.
Hey, even the pros get banged up every now and then. It's not really an injury per se, more like a scratch. I'm amazed you even spotted it.
Just so you know, this medicine was made from the ingredients you collected. The hospital director was really happy for your help.
Sheesh. When was the last time someone coddled me this much over a tiny cut? I had to admit it felt nice. Thank you, Vaughn.
I think we're about done here. Come on, Vaughn. I'll take you home.
If I didn't know any better, I'd say Vaughn had taken a shine to the big guy. It wasn't hard to see why, given the way Vaseraga treated him with kid gloves and all.
You have my thanks for giving me a taste of Arves and Grinoth. You both handled those weapons with skill and finesse.
Damn right we did. You didn't even make us break a sweat.
Is that so?
I got the sense that this weapons nut wasn't actually invested in the fight itself. She just wanted an excuse to research Arves, and maybe to brag about her own collection. Kind of funny how just talking about tools of destruction sends her into a frenzy. Then again, I get hyped about testing my combat skills, so who am I to judge? By the way, I think we deserve a bit of compensation for our troubles.
Oh dear, how silly of me. You're right. I must pay the price for losing the challenge. I suppose I could bid farewell to my precious, beloved Gaibolg.
Oh, come on. Don't make me out to be the bad guy. How about this? Why don't you treat me to the tastiest dessert this Skydom has to offer? Magliel's frown vanished in the blink of an eye, and her tears dried up like magic, though I'm not even sure she was crying in the first place.
Why, 'twould be my pleasure. Did you know there is a hidden gem of a bistro that serves pancakes topped with rare fruits right here in Seed Hollow?
Shut up! What kind of rare fruits are we talking about? She was literally bouncing with excitement.
Cultivated by only the greenest of green thumbs. Each luxurious piece of nature's candy is a crowning achievement of sweetness. The cream of the crop. You simply must taste it to believe the capital's best kept secret.
Huh. So you do have other hobbies outside of weapon collecting. Alrighty, you're on. I'll be in touch about dates and stuff. As I left the castle hall behind, I saw that Vaseraga and Vaughn hadn't gotten much of a head start on me. I ran to catch up to them, all the while wondering, does Vaseraga like pancakes? And as strange as it sounds, out of all the missions I'd wrapped up lately, I hadn't felt a greater sense of accomplishment than in that moment. After the showdown with Magliel, it was a while before I saw Vaughn again. Hey, little man. I was wondering when you were gonna pop in. How you holding up these days? His hair had grown out a bit since we last talked. I had no idea that much time had already passed. He seemed downcast, as if he had something heavy on his mind. Maybe I could get him to open up about it. Is there something you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, how should I put this? I like you, Zeta.
He was trying to keep his embarrassment at bay, but the way he fumbled his words betrayed his emotions. Thanks. Is that all you wanted to tell me?
No, there's more. I'm gonna get stronger. As strong as you and Vaseraga.
He had a deadly serious look in his eye. He must have thought long and hard about this. Is that so? Here was a side of Vaughn I had never seen before. More earnest. More mature. I felt a swell of pride as a smile crossed my face.
Yup. That's why I'm calling off all marriage proposals for now.
Oh? Why the sudden 180?
I just think it'd be better for us to stop seeing each other for a while.
Huh.
It's going to be tough on me, too. But I think we both need time apart.
I did not see this coming. No, don't talk like that. I refuse to let anyone get the wrong idea about us.
But I can't marry you yet.
There wasn't gonna be a wedding anyway. My point is you and I were never.
I'm sorry, Zeta. It's not you. It's me.
Stop! Don't even think about saying another word. He wasn't listening to me anymore. He'd already written his own headcanon. But you know what? It was sort of nice to be doted on. For what it's worth, I like to think I taught him a few life lessons, too. I'd forgotten what it was like to view the world through the innocent eyes of a child. Hanging out with Vaughn took me back to a simpler time. Thanks for jogging my memory, little man. Funny thing is, dwelling on the past isn't my style. Not at all. Living in the now is my MO. But one thing's for sure. I'll never forget the time I spent with Vaughn.
Dear Zeta, I'm doing well. How about you? Thanks to all the hours I put into sword practice, the dojo accepted me as a disciple. I'm on my way to becoming a man worthy of your hand. I'm sorry you have to wait, but someday, I'll take the stone you gave me to Fulka and have it made into a ring. Take care of yourself. Sincerely, Vaughn. P.S. I don't mind if you see other people if it's just a fling.
You cheeky little brat. You just keep doing your thing, Vaughn. It's funny how you don't miss someone until they're gone. Regardless, I was happy to hear that Vaughn was doing well for himself. It's okay to see other people, huh? That's a good one. It's such a nice day today. The breeze was subtle, and there wasn't a cloud in the sky. Just as I was beginning to take in the morning calm, a lone figure appeared on the deck of the Grand Cipher.
Greetings, Zeta. Are you ready for the best pancakes of your life?
You better believe I was ready. Nothing gets between me and my dessert. Now let's just say when I arrive in Seed Hollow, and a certain lovelorn puppy dog comes sprinting over to propose to me, my answer to him would be, "In your dreams, little man. Today is my first day off in forever, and I'm gonna party it up."
Sorry I'm late. Foul smell fills the air as my dissolving limbs grow black.
Protect the captain! Get him somewhere safe!
No, leave me. Run.
As long as you're alive, we can rebuild. We promised, didn't we? Our lives are in your hands.
You're not allowed to make this sacrifice for me. Please, save yourselves. I'll never forget the memory of that day. My conceit put us in that mess, but I was the only one who made it. After all the good times we shared, after all the pain, they would have to live on in my memory. Once I could pick myself back up again, I began to temper my body. I swore I'd never let the same tragedy repeat itself. It wasn't long before this husk became resilient, augmented and conditioned to withstand even lightning. I no longer felt physical pain, or much of anything at all. It was preferable that way. I could be a shield to protect others, to protect them from the same tragedy that befell my crew. Having lost my place in the world, I found a home in the society, and quickly became contractor to the seal weapon, Great Scythe Grynoth. My missions were simple: hunt primal beasts or exterminate the foe. I did my job so that I could keep people safe, to aid them in their time of need. But despite my best efforts, I still failed. I was powerless when Vern was kidnapped right in front of me. Worst of all, I could do nothing but watch as our hopeful new recruit was cut down. What good was I when I couldn't even protect a single one of my comrades? Maybe the real mistake was believing I could do good in the first place. I joined the society to protect others, which sounds noble on paper, but in reality, it was all for my own sake. I'm the reason that my old crew, my family, found an early grave. It was only right that I spend the rest of my meager life in atonement. At least, that's the excuse I told myself. In truth, another part of me was deluded into thinking I could free myself from the guilt, but only if I could change into another person. Turns out that being immune to physical torture does nothing to protect your heart from psychological torment. Speaking of mental suffering, not long after I joined the society, Ilsa assigned Zeta as my partner. The old me would have worked with her just fine, but too much had changed. Her blunt honesty rubbed me the wrong way. A man can only take so much random commentary before he goes insane. Even Ilsa called her Pupper, which was kinder than what I had in mind back in those days. But it was an apt name, considering all of her barking. I didn't care about forging a real partnership with Zeta. Every time we had a mission together, I just wanted to finish it as fast as possible. But it backfired. Whenever I pushed her away, she pushed back 10 times harder. She was determined to know me. I would have never admitted it out loud, but I was afraid. After all, the closer you are with someone, the harder it is to cope with their loss. As for why I joined the captain's crew, well, I had my reasons. The captain's father was awaiting our crew in Estalucia, And that meant duking it out with primals and gathering sky map pieces along the way. The captain was strong and humble, had a knack for overcoming hardship. With leadership like that, I knew this crew could actually make it. That's not to say they were running a flawless operation. The way I saw it, they had two big problems. Vern and Lyria, the Red Dragon and the Girl in Blue. It's true they were core members of the crew, but they possessed powers which could represent grave consequences for the skies. Should one overflow with astral energy, or the other absorb enough primal power, they would be erased and herald the destruction of everything as we know it. It was possible the captain could reach Estelucia without any sacrifices, but I wasn't the type to bet on fate. These kids needed a shield. This body of mine would protect them all, no matter what came to pass. At least, that's what I intended. During the fight against the Moon Dwellers, I lost myself to the Atomagod Grinoth's power and raised my scythe against the crew. As pathetic as it was, I became the very threat I swore to protect them from. That was why I prepared a way to stop my own heart. I wouldn't hurt my comrades again. If I couldn't protect anyone, then the least I could do was make sure I could do no more harm.
What are you playing at, Vaseraga? Is this your penance after what happened to Lester?
I was fine with sacrificing myself, as long as I could save someone else. A part of me even believed I deserved such a fate.
I hate when you act alone. You could have come to me for help first, you know? We're partners, damn it!
I couldn't feel pain, but somewhere inside I felt like a wound had split me in two. It took me far too long to realize that it hurt my comrades to see me suffering, that I had chosen to run instead of face my fears.
Did you hear me, you big lug? You're not gonna drop dead on us. Not on my watch.
My partner's instincts were sharp enough to cut right through me. But it was her words, honest and blunt, which shattered the walls around my cowardly heart. The pain I should have dealt with a long time ago came spilling out, but this time it was accompanied by a burning desire. We're going to survive this, together. And that's the way it's been ever since. Early in the morning, before the crew was to head out for a request, I headed to the forest surrounding Folca to conduct a test on Grinoth. On the way, I was stopped by the sight of a young girl watering the vegetable garden by her home, the wet plants sparkling beneath the morning sun. But something felt off about the scene. In contrast to the bright garden, a dark, foul mist seemed to surround the girl. Upon noticing me, she scrambled back into her house. The miasma clung to her as she fled. Sorry, lass. Shouldn't have snuck up on you like that. But that odd mist looked too real to be an illusion, and yet it didn't seem to be doing any harm. I decided to keep an eye out. After all, Folca was bustling with the influx of refugees from Tempeal. And there was no telling what could happen in strange times such as these. Grinoth ripped through the silence of the forest. As I lowered the scythe, the quiet returned. It was a perfect place for tuning the weapon. At least, it would have been had I not sensed the presence of someone watching. Whoever it was, they had yet to strike, so I assumed they were no threat. Perhaps they were one of Folca's residents. I know you're there. State your business. Turning around, I saw the familiar face of the mist-shrouded girl.
That black armor. Your big scythe.
Her expression was blank, completely devoid of the cheer she had while watering her garden. Eventually, she spoke as tears welled in her eyes.
I'm tired, Mr. Reaper. You can take me away now.
The floodgates broke, a steady stream cascading down her cheeks. Mr. Reaper? What are you talking about?
I only wanted to grow those little ones, but everything I do hurts them. They all rot away. All I do is cause pain.
The girl hung her head and grew silent. It was obvious she had given up on life. It was a feeling I was all too familiar with. Once you've steeled yourself for death, you start thinking there's no other way out. But before I could console her, a monster appeared from the brush and leapt at the girl. I felled it in a single blow, but she gasped at the grisly sight. Fear appeared in her eyes. Good. If she could still fear death, then she wasn't too far gone. Sorry to disappoint, but I'm no Reaper. Most I can manage is to bring you safely home. You'd rather not be monster kibble, right? Need to gather your thoughts? I get it. Life rarely gives us obvious choices.
Okay.
Keep close. Maybe it was just a trick of the light, but I saw a bit of life return to her gaze. I took a step back toward the village, ready to prove I was no Reaper of the afterlife. Upon arriving at the girl's home, I was met by a shocking sight. The thriving garden I'd seen before was now gray and withered, its fruits and vegetables rotting away. How could all the life have been sucked from this place in such a short span of time? When I looked at the girl, she purposefully avoided my gaze. I decided against questioning her for the moment. Whatever's going on, I might be able to help, but we can talk about that later. You should rest.
Okay.
She took an unsteady step through the door of her home. As I watched her go, I felt eyes on the back of my head. But when I turned around, no one was to be found. Yeah, I doubt I imagined that. I spent a few moments scanning the perimeter, but soon found nothing of concern. I decided to call it a day. Curious about the girl and her garden, I headed once more toward the forest on the outskirts of Folka.
I never had a chance to thank you for the other day.
Though she was more lively than before, her spirit was clearly drained.
I guess it feels wrong to call you Mr. Reaper now.
The name's Vaseraga. The girl introduced herself as Irene. As she spoke, I noticed her wrist was wrapped in a bandage. I asked if she was injured, but this caused her to grimace.
Oh, this? It's fine. I just, cut myself is all.
In a thinly veiled attempt to change the subject, Irene offered me some juice made from homegrown fruit.
This is the least I can do to thank you. Do you want to drink some together?
Apple. Not bad. We sat at her table and began to chat. She told me that she hailed from Grossgard, a small region near Seed Hollow. Having just moved to Folka, she was still a new face to the locals. Do you take care of the garden by yourself?
Yes.
Tense. Holding in on herself like a withering flower, she became the complete opposite of the girl I watched happily watering her plants. But it was not her forlorn expression that gripped me. It was the mist. Ever her formless companion, a swirling miasma seemed just beyond her perception. There were far worse things in the skies than a little smoke, but I knew this was more than it seemed. Mind if I stop by again? I could visit between requests. I wanted to help her, but not out of a misguided sense of obligation. I just wanted to make sure she never forgot what it was like to smile.
Wow, these vegetables are very unique. Yes, unique.
I brought Vern and Lyria with me in hopes of lifting Irene's spirits.
How do you make a tomato look like a shriveled bone? That's talent, I guess.
Vern was, for better or worse, brutally honest. Now, who did that remind me of?
Vern, don't be rude.
It's fine, Lyria. He's not wrong.
Though she had every right to be offended, Irene took the comment in stride. Our two most carefree members of the crew seemed to be rubbing off on her. Guess it was the right call to bring them. I'm not the best at brightening the mood.
So Vaseraga told us about your plants. You want them to grow big and healthy, but they keep withering, right?
Yes.
After a moment of silence, Lyria gave Irene a sympathetic smile, encouraging the girl to divulge her feelings. She began to perk up. Guess Zeta was right. It really is easier to share your worries with someone closer to your age.
Taking care of those little ones is my purpose in life.
She went on to recount how she had always been a loner. From a young age, her only friends were the plants she cared for. Recently, she had discovered that she could hear her plants talk, though she had no idea how or why.
But now, it's like my precious friends are fading away, one by one. I don't know how much more of this I can take.
Not long after she had gained the ability to communicate with her cherished plants, they suddenly began to wither and die one after another. She could hear them wail in agony as they reached their end. It was no surprise that she soon reached her breaking point.
A few are still alive, but I'm sure they'll join the others in no time. If this is all that's waiting for me in the future, then I would rather not live to see it.
Watching the lives of your loved ones slip out of your fingers? I could relate to that. What was she supposed to do? Distance herself from her reason for living? Wasn't that as good as dying? I eyed the black mist. Look, there's gotta be a way to fix things.
What? But I've tried everything.
Squeezing her bandaged wrist, Irene looked up at me in confusion. I did my best to reassure her without betraying the worry gnawing at my mind. What happened here? I had stopped by Irene's garden after finishing a request, only to find every single leaf and stem had turned black and rotted. It felt unnatural, like something had completely sucked the life from what should have been a thriving patch of greenery. Filled with dread, I rushed inside the house, but Irene was nowhere in sight. It was then that I noticed a letter on the floor.
To the blasphemer who betrayed Avia, you should know that Lady Lilith wished to bathe the skies in destruction. Have you not yet realized that clinging to life is folly? That living is a sacrilege to all we preach? You have two choices before you. Watch as that forbidden implement spreads darkness to all those innocent folk living around you, or return to Avia and repent.
So Irene had ties to the Church of Avia, and they'd fitted her with some sort of cruel device. Reminded me of Lyria and the Mind Sealer. If they had hurt Irene like they hurt Lyria... Damn. Thought I'd finally dealt with this pain. But there I was, failing to protect yet another innocent life. Brooding on it for too long wasn't going to bring Irene back, so I left the house and scoured the town. Avia always had a flair for drama, but I detected no commotion in town. Which means, bastards snuck away in a ship. Knowing there were precious few minutes to trail them, I rushed to the port. The captain, who saw me rushing to the port, joined me in the chase. Sierra Carte, who was always in the right place at the right time, heard a rumor about an Aviath battleship sighting. We took after them immediately, driving the Grand Cipher as hard as we could to close the distance. Found you. After we crested a cloud bank, their ship came into view. In a contest of speed, a mere battleship was no match for the Grand Cipher. We soon pulled alongside our quarry and boarded their vessel.
I assume you're the draft that's been stalking our new shaman?
Let Irene go.
I'm afraid that's out of the question.
The tension in the air grew palpable.
That device she wears incinerates life. For now, the dark flame only affects plants. But with a little more time, the shaman will consume all life in Zega Grande. Lady Lilith will have her salvation, one way or another.
You call that salvation? Maybe these fools didn't understand Lilith's true goals. Or maybe they were just bending the truth to satisfy their own cruel desires. Regardless, they were hazards that needed to be taken care of.
She shows remarkable compatibility with the Dark Flame. We will use her to fulfill Lady Lilith's wishes once and for all.
At the expense of Irene and this skydom? Not on my watch. It's time someone put your schemes to rest. Grinoth, did you hear that? We've got work to do. Lend me your strength. By the time we carried Irene back to the Grand Cipher, half of her body was shrouded in the dark mist. A sinister-looking device was clamped around her wrist, where the bandage had slipped off.
I don't advise using force to break it. That would put Lyria's life in danger.
I remembered what Roland said back on Mount Nagilith. Removing one of these implements by force could cost Irene her life, but there was no time to search for another method.
Vaseraga, I'm sorry. I've caused you trouble again.
Irene weakly apologized, barely conscious.
It's okay. You can break the bracelet. My life is in your hands.
As long as you're alive, we can rebuild. We promised, didn't we? Our lives are in your hands.
I clenched Grinoth tighter. Irene had already accepted her end, but I swore to protect them. I swore to protect them all! With my heartbeat thundering in my ears, I focused my entire being on the device. Grinoth and I became one as I swung down. We cut through the dark mist, and a burst of blinding light swallowed everything. After some time had passed, I stopped by Irene's home while out on a request. Well, well. A comforting and familiar sight greeted me. The garden was bursting with vegetation, much like the first time I saw it.
Vaseraga!
Standing amidst the greenery, Irene waved at me with a smile. I should apologize. You can't hear your friends anymore because of what I did. She shook her head, her smile still present.
No, I shouldn't have let the church tempt me like that. I'm sorry for dragging you and your crew into my mess.
A hint of sorrow graced her features.
I can't hear these little ones anymore, that's true. But I can still tell what they want to say.
Is that right?
Yeah. Sometimes your heart just knows these things.
She turned to look up at the sky, a few tears sliding past her smile.
Like how I knew to reach out to you, even if I thought you were the Reaper. Thank you for saving me, Vaseraga.
Anyone would have done the same. With a careful shuffle, I turned away. A dainty garden was no place for an armor-clad warrior to stomp about. I'll see you around, Irene. I took one last look at the vibrant garden before heading back to the ship. The morning had barely begun when Zeta came barreling over with a package addressed to me. It was stuffed full of fruit, which only confused her further.
Huh? Aren't these Volca gold fruit? Lucky man! I heard their produce is all the rage these days.
Whoops. Guess I hadn't told Zeta about Irene and her garden yet. Looks like the pantry is full. Help me carry these back to my room.
Sure, but this is kind of a lot for a midnight snack.
I figure being surrounded by a little more nature couldn't hurt.
Didn't take you for the crunchy type. Gonna grow your own orchard or what?
She was joking, but honestly, it didn't sound like such a bad idea. Ever had fresh apple juice before? I'll make you some, as thanks for helping me carry everything.
Wait a minute. You never put this much effort into treating me. Is this a trap?
A skilled gardener taught me a trick or two. Never hurts to practice a new recipe. The vibrant fruit told me how well Irene was doing, much better than any letter could. Offering her garden a silent word of thanks, I was ready to enjoy its generous harvest.